That's what you call sleeping close to nature. Now, this hatch is good. Needs to be kind of rainy though. Because if it's raining, it was raining last night. People aren't likely, even though there's only a few, people aren't likely to walk by because they'll get nosy. And who knows, there may be some Facebook group. Has anybody seen this van up in there? There's a bay down there. Anyway, right. I'm going to try. I listened to a 10-minute chat. Mr. Reuben and Peter Boghossian last night as I dozed off. Now, this next statement is, to me, for my identity and sense of who I wish to be thought of, the critical bit. Though I'm not going to rattle on about this. Having become aware that, well, Reuben is actually quite a good communicator at times and rightly tries to search for helpful words as to what is happening in the more supposedly thoughtful centres of thought in the Western world. He speaks of identitarian politics. Politics has become identitarian. It moved on from Marxism, i.e. basically sharing the resources of the planet, i.e. equity, into identitarian politics. Now, I want to actually film this, but I'm not going to be able to. I'm going to only be able to audio it for a bit. Now, as a taster, but real, I'm going to say something I bet you no so-called social justice warrior, and I think I do qualify, has ever said. I'm going to say the truth of 10 years really dedicating myself to people in the public arena to a certain extent, and also, more importantly, those really, really grim days going with them to courts. The people who don't have it together and for one reason or other need justice. They needed help with justice. That was my unintended role. But I'm going to actually say what I truly thought is the wrong word. My actual behaviour to those people, even still now. And it's not what the social justice warriors, or rather the one-dimensional preachers of intersectionality, etc., would dare to say. But I'm going to say it because it's the truth, and it is a starting point, although it's ultimately not terribly relevant. But unless those using matters of social justice in their politicking, their position, their positionality, are honest about what they really are inside, it is a scam ideology. Now, I don't even want to use the word scam. Actually, delete. Because that in a way has been the problem that I've encountered. Meaning, the one statement to say is that now, I don't, all of this whole group, they do dominate the alternative media, which has become the media. They all describe themselves as classic liberals, generally egalitarian-ish, and they have now had to almost band together as the real goody-goody conservatives, meaning that needs to be conserved, that essentially very lightweight Marxist socialist. It's almost impossible to be a proper socialist in America, but those values, universal human rights, egalitarianism, and classic liberals, with a bit of, because it's fashionable, and because it's all of this is, and it's always going to be from America, I guess. There are basically 5 times more Americans than there are British, so they're going to be able to dominate the conversation. Yes, so they have become a type. They wouldn't allow themselves to be thought of as a political movement. They have a little bit of fashionable libertarianism mixed in, which, it's all a little bit Ayn Rand light. Now, I'm not actually going to criticise what their ideology is. It's much more important as to how, I have monitored them. I mean, my feed, I'm actually going to change Google account soon, but my feed probably screws up the algorithm's head. It'll give me an Owen Jones YouTube video and a Dave Rubin. Now, in theory, they're really rather the opposite end of the street. And then mixes in. Anyway, let's just try and keep succinctly to the point. I monitor, and I do monitor, let's just call them the new conservatives, but that doesn't mean they are, it doesn't mean they're the old conservatives, and it's not meant to be any kind of even an insult. I monitor the new classic liberals, or call them what you want, who the new left almost categorises the new right wing. Now, I monitor them for one reason only. Are they managing to critique helpfully, that's the key word, helpfully, what has arisen in this new left-wing identitarian-based politics or public position the last 7 or 8 years? That's the only reason I monitor them. Are they actually able to critique helpfully? And they're not. And 7 or 8 years ago, I myself thought, okay, critique is too strong a word. What does one usefully say to help those who almost may be stuck with their identitarian politics? Fight. Fighting is good in some respects and not good in other respects. And anyway, revolutions, they should really be called the New Revolutionaries Light, because it is a revolutionary period. Anyway, I'm going to have to go to audio now. But it's like, frankly, this does, yes, so I've monitored to see, is there anything useful being said? And my comment, one of the major problems is that those who attempt to who've become the other side, so to speak. Unfortunately, i.e. the Dave Rubins, etc., occasionally their language is too brittle, too confrontational, too... we're all we were all little babies once, the same flesh and blood. And completely avoiding, even though I playfully riff with, I will speak of a person who I do have great empathy for, lost to hard drugs as a junkie. I just started to kind of loosen up the last few years. It's like, a junkie's a junkie, but they're totally equal human beings too. I wish they weren't, for their own sake, in that terrible situation. Anyway, yeah, the language really matters. Now, I do not believe in thought police or word policing, but the tone really matters. And all of this new classic liberal conservatism, or they may term themselves almost the resistant to identitarianism, politics, woke, all of them fail with a thoughtful, gentle language. It's just politics. And it is politics. It's become hugely important in politics, and I suspect it's much more important in Britain than any of the British commentariat managed to dig into, because an average British 25 to 35-year-old is going to be watching their YouTube, getting most of the commentary from the one or other camps in this new world of the new... well, the labels don't matter too much. But the new rhetoric. Anyway, right, I've got to go to audio now. But I want to actually do this whole half an hour, unfortunately. But there's something in there that I doubt anyone's been honest enough to say. I want to really do it to camera, because it's... It is the subject. It is the theme of the last 5 years, really, and I suspect it's not going away. So it's so much better if you can see the whites of somebody's eyes. But I'll carry on with audio.